ॐ भूरभुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar, my dear friends. So this is my second video on the Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi's Gospel. I start the video from the distinction between sleep, Kevala Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi can be clearly put in a tabular form as given by Sri Bhagwan. Sleep, first point, mind alive. Kevala Nirvikalpa Samadhi, first point, mind alive. Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi, first point, mind dead. Under sleep, second point, sunk in oblivion. Under Kevila Nirvikalpa Samadhi, second point, sunk in light. Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi, second point, resolved in self. Now, under Kevila Nirvikalpa Samadhi, third point, like a bucket tied to a rope and left lying in the water in a well. Under Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi, third point, like a river discharged into the ocean and its identity lost. Fourth point, under Kevla Nirvikalpa, to be drawn out by the other end of the rope. Under Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi, fourth point, a river cannot be redirected from the ocean. The mind of the sage who has realized the self is wholly destroyed, it is dead, but to the onlooker, he may seem to possess a mind just like the layman, hence the I in the sage has merely an apparent objective reality. In fact, however, it has neither a subjective existence nor an objective reality. Uh, Next heading is silence and solitude. Now, what is silence? Let me explain. See, normally people understand the meaning of silence, keeping quiet, not talking. And solitude means just to be away from other people. But actually, in spiritualism, silence means the arising of thoughts from the mind is, from the Atma is completely ceased, stopped. That is the actual meaning of silence, not talking by mouth. It is the complete loss of thoughts. So now I start. Devotee asks the question, is a vow of silence useful? Maharshi, the inner silence is self-surrender, and that is living without the sense of ego. Devotee, is solitude necessary for a sannyasin? Maharshi, solitude is in the mind of a man. One might be in the thick of the world and yet maintain perfect serenity of mind. Such a person is always in solitude. Another may stay in the forest but still be unable to control his mind. He cannot be said to be in solitude. Solitude is an attitude of the mind. A man attached to the things of life cannot get solitude wherever he may be. A detached man is always in solitude. See, this is also a very important term in spiritualism. Solitude. Solitude in spiritualism means that your mind is tuned to divinity. Your mind is tuned to Brahma, and your mind is unattached to the world. That is the actual meaning of Solitude. You are working, you are in your office, but your mind is tuned to the God, and you are completely oblivious of the other people. That is the actual mean solitude. Devotee, what is mona? Maharshi replies, that state which transcends speech and thought is mona. It is a meditation without mental activity. Subjugation of the mind is meditation. Deep meditation is eternal speech. Silence is ever speaking. It is the perennial flow of language. It is interrupted by speaking, for words obstruct this mute language. Lectures may entertain individual for hours without improving them. Silence, on the other hand, is permanent and benefits the whole of humanity. See, silence that I have defined already. Silence when your mind is thoughtless. Thoughtlessness state of mind is known as silence. So that means you are connected to the divinity, and that is very powerful. So Maharishi Ramana was most of the time was not speaking because his mind was always connected with the divinity, and people in his proximity they were benefited by this because that silence is actually transmitting the spiritual power which is directly helping the other people to progress in spiritualism. By silence, eloquence is meant. Oral lectures are not so eloquent as silence. Silence is unceasing eloquence. Eloquence, it is the best language. There is a state when words cease and silence prevails. Devotee, how then can we communicate our thoughts to one another? Mercy, that becomes necessary if the sense of duty exists. Devotee, why does not Bhagwan go about and preach the truth to the people at large? Maharshi, how do you know I am not doing it? Does preaching consist in mounting a platform and haranguing the people around? Preaching is simple communication of knowledge. It can really be done in silence only. What do you think of a man who listens to a sermon for an hour and goes away without having been impressed by it so as to change his life? Compare him with another who sits in a holy presence and goes away after some time with his outlook on life totally changed. Which is the better to preach loudly without affect or to sit silently sending out inner force? See, when the sage is connected to his Atma or Brahma, that time he transmits very powerful divine power. Whosoever is sitting in his vicinity, he will be benefited. Another person is talking loudly, he is giving discourse, but mind it, he is using his speech, using his mouth. That time he may or may not be connected to the divinity. So this speech will not affect spiritually the listeners, but people sitting in the presence of a sage whose mind is completely connected to the Atma. That sage transmits very powerful spiritual energy, and the people sitting in his presence, they will be benefited. It's a very good teaching. Again, how does speech arise? There is abstract knowledge. Whence arises the ego, which in turn gives rise to thought, and thought to the spoken word. So the word is the great grandson of the original source. If the word can produce effect, judge for yourself how much more powerful must be the preaching through silence, because words, they are undergoing many other points. So there is dissipation of spiritual energy, but in silence the spiritual energy is transmitted in its full strength. When the person is speaking, that time that spiritual energy is passing through some stages. There is dissipation of energy. But people do not understand this simple, bare truth, the truth of their everyday, ever present, eternal experience. This truth is that of the self. Is there anyone unaware of the self? But they do not like even to hear of this truth, whereas they are eager to know what lies beyond, about heaven, hell, and reincarnation, because they love mystery and not the truth. Religions cater to them so as to eventually to bring them round to the self. Whatever be the means adopted, you must at last return to the self. So why not abide in the self here and now? To be a spectator of or to speculate about the other world, the self is necessary. Therefore, they are not different from the self. Even the ignorant man, when he sees the object, sees only the self. So, I end the video here. I will talk about mind control in my third video. So namaste dear friend, thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video, and please subscribe my channel. Thank you. Namaste, namaste, namaste.